This is the Landlord Advocates, where we help landlords become better landlords. I'm your host, Matthew Lyman. Welcome back. Today we're going to go over 12 tips to screen and find better tenants. 12 tips. Now there's a lot more out there that we know of. There's a lot more. We'll discuss those later on in other videos, but right now we're going to look at 12 tips to help you find and screen for better tenants. These 12 tips are not in any particular order. Some may be easy to do, some may be harder to do. Some are very, very good, some are okay, not bad. But putting them all together, they are going to be very helpful for you in your journey for a good tenant. Number 1, get their driver's license or a government-issued ID card. A lot of times when a tenant will fill out the rental application, they may have the name Cheryl with an S. When in fact it's Cheryl with a C. They may have the last name of Stevens, P-H-E-N-S, when it's really V-N-S. They may have the name of John, Jonathan, J-O-H-N or J-O-N. You're not sure. That's why you ask for the ID. Some examples of where that has not happened, and we're going to do that throughout this video. We're going to bring out points of those 12, and we're going to give you examples of what is happening for landlords who have not done these suggestions, followed through on these tips. We had a person who won a small claims case against somebody who works in a distribution facility. Came to us, had a transcript of judgment. Everything was done right. Our staff did it right. We filed it with the sheriff's department. He got the paperwork back from the sheriff. The sheriff rejected the income execution and told him why. He demanded his money back from the sheriff. He came to our office and demanded his money back as well. When we looked over the paperwork that the sheriff gave him, we told him, here's your problem. You sued, and we're making up the name, you sued John A. Smith, who works at this facility. Well, there's a John K. Smith who works at that facility too, father and son. You sued John A. Smith when it should have been John K. Smith. Therefore, you sued the wrong person. You get a judgment against the wrong person. Therefore, your judgment, your case cannot be fulfilled. You lost. You can go back and sue again for the right person, but you're not getting any money back because you did something wrong. Another case, we had a landlord who did not want to pay for an eviction, wanted to go the easy way out, and he did a small claims case against the tenant. He came to our office. I ended up getting the case. I looked at the transcript of judgment, and I knew immediately there was a problem. Immediately. We had dealt with this tenant before. When I looked at the transcript of judgment, he knew where she worked. It was a nice-sized judgment. We told him, sorry, we can't help you. Why? I want to grant the money this year. I said, why? Can't you help me? I said, by my giving you this answer, our office is going to lose money, but we're going to be honest with you. You have the wrong name on this transcript of judgment. You sued the right lady, you know the person you sued, but you have the name wrong. Therefore, an income execution cannot be done. Well, she's still living in my apartment, I want her gone. We had told him if you had done the eviction, you would have got the judgment and her out, and you would have had the right name, because we would have been involved. We were not involved in the process that he initiated, so he lost. We gave him the idea of going to see this tenant with that transcript, and letting her know that if she moves out at the end of the month, which was 3 weeks that time, if she moves out at the end of the month, he will not do anything with this judgment. She moved. Therefore, he saved himself money in the income execution, and he saved himself money in back rent, lost rent, as far as how long it would take to get around, and the eviction costs. Get IDs, verify the IDs. Number 2, do not accept instant cash from prospective tenants to acquire residency. Many times the tenants will come to you with this instant cash, and you need to understand that that money belonged to the previous landlord with whom they're moving from. and therefore they need to move, they gotta go, they want to move, for whatever reason that might be, we don't know why. But the instant money to move in is an issue, and maintain that as an issue in your head. Why are they moving right now? The biggest problem that landlords do here in America is background checks. You're not good at it, you don't do it, and you're quick at it. Well, a lot of our landlords, we tell them the biggest problem that you have is your background check consists of 6 words. Just 6. How much money do you have? 6 words. They will do a background check based solely on those words, and the tenant flashes the money, they move into the apartment. Don't do that. We have a client right now, a wonderful, wonderful man. I like him a lot. He came to us. The tenants moved into his house, and here's how that happened. He placed the ad. They called him. We love to move in right now. We've seen the outside of the house. We love it. Can we move in? He said, well, let's make an appointment. I'll show you the inside. Well, we want to move in. I said, all right, well, I still want to show you the inside. So they make the appointment. He shows up to the house. He's waiting for them to show up. And he's waiting. And he's waiting. He eventually calls them. Yeah, I'm at the house. Where are you? We're at the house. No, I'm out front and you're not here. Well, we're at 555 Broadway waiting for you. No. I own 100 Broadway. You're at the wrong house. Oh, okay, we'll be right down. They show up. He rents to them. All the red flags were waving, and he ran into them anyway. Because of new laws in our state of New York, we could not tell him. But we know of these tenants. We recently know of these tenants. They told him that they had a small dog. They actually have pit bulls. He ran into them because they needed someplace right away. And this landlord is a very kind, good-hearted man, and he ran into them. He knew what he was in store for when he came to the office. I gave him a ton last year, I yelled at him, and he knew that. But when we do that with our clients, it comes from the heart. We're not scolding them to be a mean teacher or a bad daddy. We're screaming at them because, listen, you did the wrong thing, don't do it again. He knew that. Number 3, check the address of where they are living right now. We had a number of years ago, a few landlords in the office going over, filling out paperwork to do an eviction. I had finished up some work that I was doing, and I went on over to the one set of landlords. And I looked at their rental application from these tenants that they were getting the information from to give us so that we can do our job for them. I looked over the rental application, and I said, it shows here that these tenants moved from the house because the house had been sold and they needed to move. I had asked them, did you go to the house and check this out for yourself? Oh yeah, we went to the house, Matt. We went. I said, no, you did not. Well, yes, we did, Matt. We did go to the house. I said, no, you did not. And I'm going to tell you why you did not go to the house. You did not check the address. Because one, the house was not sold, and 2, it's not a house. It's a 14-unit apartment building with a big parking lot attached to it. I said, if you had even gone to the house, you would have realized, or the apartment building is, you would have gone and realized that these tenants were lying. It wasn't a house, it was an apartment building, and you would not have rented to them. Not only that, at that time we can tell them this would be the 9th, it was either the 9th or the 10th eviction that our office was facilitating on those prospective tenants. The 9th and 10th, they did not do their own, they did not check the address as they should have. Number 4 and 5 go very much hand in hand. You must do number 4 before you do number 5. You must. Number 4 is get the phone number of their current landlord. Have them put it on the application. Read back the phone number to them. Read it back. Because you may give them the phone number, they may put it down there, and a 1 may look like a 7. A 9 can look like a very skinny 1. An 8 can be a 9. Go over each number and say, yes, that's the phone number. Make sure you get the right phone number as they tell you on their current landlord. That goes like, I'm looking at my notes as you may see me looking down a little bit, so forgive me. Number 5 is ask questions of the tenant about their current residency. Ask them various questions about where they live right now. Ask them those questions. And those questions would be such as, how much is the rent that you're paying right now? That should be on an application. Ask that. How much rent are you paying right now? Ask them what floor you live on. First, second, third floor. Ask them, is it a common doorway? Is it a common door that you have to go through to get to the 2 floors, 3 floors, or all the apartments of the building? Is it a keypad system? Is it a locker system? Is it a retina scan? What is it that gets you into the building? Ask that. Ask them, is there a driveway? If there is, what side of the driveway is on that house looking at it? What color is the house? Is there a backyard? Is it a covered or uncovered front porch? Second porch? Are there covered decks? Those various questions you're going to ask them, write those answers down. What will happen shortly thereafter could be this. You can get this information from them. Oh wait, I am so sorry, I made a mistake, I'm sorry. The number I gave you is actually to my mother. My mistake. I thought it was an emergency contact, not who your current landlord is. My mistake. Here's the landlord's number. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I'm sorry. That right there, landlord should tell you they were lying to you all along. But what you do, if they don't do that and they still go along with it, grab that telephone, call that current landlord, the phone number that they gave you for the current landlord, and ask them the same questions that you had just asked their current tenant. Maybe the landlord can answer all the questions, even though he or she should, they own the property, but they should be able to answer a number of those questions. And if they don't know the answers, you know full well that the person that they're speaking to, and the person that you're speaking to, is not the landlord of the prospective tenant that you have. That it's not the current landlord. And therefore, that's another bye-bye. Those two put together could be all you need to do to get rid of a prospective tenant that's lying to you all along. That's 4 and 5. Number 6, berating applicants. Matt, what do you mean by a berating applicant? What that is that you get a tenant that comes to you and then tell you, my current landlord is such a doofus. My current landlord is a loser. The apartment that I live in has ants, bed bugs, roaches, the lights don't work, the toilet doesn't flush, the water doesn't run. It's a terrible place. My landlord is a terrible person. That's why I'm moving. That's a bad sign. Because remember, that current landlord will soon be his ex. You might be her current landlord if you move them in. And you soon, very soon, or maybe a year or so later, you will be the ex-tenant, the ex-landlord that they are berating. Number 7, get a copy of their credit report, credit score. In some states, you get a copy of their credit report. You have to provide them with reasons why you have to provide them with a copy of that in some states, probably all. But getting their credit score, they can get from Credit Karma, which is free. But you want to make sure that the score that they give you is actually theirs. You don't want a screenshot of it, because in that screenshot, it might be my credit score, which is in the high 800s, thank you very much. It might be somebody else's. You don't know that it's theirs. So make sure that the Credit Karma score that you get is actually theirs. Do not go on their word alone on an application. Number 8, when showing the apartment, watch and listen to the potential tenants. Watch if they come as a group or as an open house, whatever the size might be, is not really relevant. Watch when they come up to the property. Because you never know. Billy Bob might be there smoking a cigarette, and all of a sudden that cigarette ends up on your front lawn. You know full well that that's how they treat the property before they even move in. How are they going to treat it after they move in? When they go into the apartment to take a look around with their group of friends or family or as an open house group, like I said, watch their nonverbals and listen to what they say to each other. A nonverbal might be like they're looking at the stove and they're looking at a pink bathtub. Yeah, it's old, but it works. And they're going to, oh my God, did you see that bathtub? It's ugly. Ew. Did you see the stove? It's like an electric stove. I don't want an electric stove. Did you see the size of the bathtub? Did you see the color of the walls in the bedrooms? They're so ugly. Oh my God, I don't want that. That's their room, but the guy room is like, look at all of that. Pay attention to all of that. And if you pick up on all the bad vibes that are being sent out by them, and you still rent to them, you're being foolish. You're being a fool. Because if you move them in and they're complaining, and using stronger language, they're complaining about the location, the apartment, and they haven't yet even moved in, what do you think you're going to deal with when they move in? You're going to be dealing with a lot more hassles, a lot more headaches. You're going to be dealing with tenants that are going to be from hell. They're going to be asking this and asking that, fix this, fix that. You don't want to do that. Watch and listen and learn. Don't talk as much. Listen to what they say to you. Watch as they walk around the apartment. Watch and see what they do. This kind of goes along with number 2. I want the apartment now. And the candidate says they want the apartment right now. Be careful. Like I say, they may be shafting the current landlord and not paying them. We've seen that in court, where a tenant was asking the judge, do you have the money to pay this landlord? No, I don't have the money to pay this landlord. Later on that day, one of our clients called and said that they have a prospective tenant who has all the money in the first month of security. They have everything that they're asking for. That prospective tenant was in court a few hours earlier telling the judge that he did not have the money to pay the rent. Why? He was stacking up money to move someplace else. They may be facing imminent eviction from the sheriff or the marshal any day. They're going to be knocking on the door. Time for you to go. Be careful of that. We had a property manager that we had worked with. We haven't heard from him in a while. He's a nice man. That being said, he had an applicant that came, filled out the application, and came to us. And at that time, we could tell him, don't rent to the tenant. She's been through the process before. Don't rent to her. In 3 hours of her filling out that rental application, not only did he accept her as a tenant, she was moving in to the apartment within 3 hours. Within 3 hours. We had been inside that apartment. There was a hole in one of the bedrooms, ceilings. There was a bathroom that was disgustingly filthy. The kitchen was disgustingly filthy. In the living room, all filthy. There was an old dishwasher, a push-button one from the 1980s, 70s, sitting in there that was broken, that wasn't even in the wall. I'm walking around in the apartment in my shoes, and how I did not walk out of the shoes, I have no idea, because my feet were sticking to the floor. It was so disgusting. But yet he rented to that tenant because he got almost $1,000 commission on that job. He did not care so long as he got the money. About 7 months later, the owner of that property contacted our office and said, the tenant is not paying the rent. That tenant was on the first floor. The second floor tenant was also not doing the same thing. He eventually lost the house in a foreclosure because of the non-paying tenants that he had. So don't be so quick when they say, I've got the money right now. Don't do that. That goes into number 10. Don't rush into no vacancy. You may be desperate for money to pay the mortgage, the taxes, the upkeep, whatever it may be, the carrying costs. The property manager may be interested, the real estate agent may be interested in getting a tenant in there for you so you can get some money. Don't rush into vacancy. Don't do that. Don't rush into no vacancy. Because you may be rushing yourself into a hole that you financially cannot get yourself out of. We tell our landlords, and it basically is this, that it is better to have an empty apartment for a month or two, to rent it out quickly, only to evict quickly, and do major repairs without receiving any profit from that placed tenant. Don't be in such a rush to place the tenant. We're not going to talk so much right now about the COVID-19 crisis. I want to get past that with other videos to help you. But a lot of landlords right now are going to be in that position where they have a lot of empty apartments. People are desperate for money. Don't rush into no vacancy because you need the money right now. It may cost you a lot more money in the end. You may have an apartment that is $500 a month, and you put the tenant in, you get the $500 security, you get the $500 in rent, and now they haven't paid for 2 months, and now the damages, you can be looking at $5,000 in damages and no rent, and money that they owe you in the past and no current rent. You can be really trapped in yourself. So the money that you got right now has cost you 5-10 times that in damages and lost rent. So don't rush into no vacancy. Number 11, do not keep the utilities in your name. Do not do that. You may have a tenant that says, listen, I'm a good tenant. You may even like them. They may meet all the qualifications. They may meet everything great, but they can't have the utilities out in their own name. In that case, they may say, listen, just for a month or two, can I keep the utilities on in your name, please, just for a month or two? That's all I'm asking. And I promise, I cross my heart, I will get the power on in my name. Right now I'm having problems with Con Ed, National Grid, but I promise you, within a month or two, it'll be on in my name. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, for keeping it on in your name. Landlords, you do that, you're a fool. Reason why is once you get them in the apartment, you cannot turn off the utilities. If the utilities are on in the former tenant's name, and that tenant turns them off, that's one thing. But you as the landlord cannot turn off the power. That's called a constructive eviction. And you can get sued for a lot of money and fined a lot of money, in particular in whatever state you may be in. They may have penalties for doing that. I'm sure that they do. So don't keep the utilities on in your name. I don't even advise having the utilities, especially in the northern states where we get snow. I don't advise keeping the utilities in your name or providing utilities. We have seen many times through the eviction process when the tenant is ticked off that they're getting evicted, and they will open up the windows and turn up the heat as high as they can when they leave. They leave the apartment, and now you have an electric bill that's $800 for that month because it was at 90. I remember we did an eviction, the sheriff and I went to the house, single family home. The sheriff and I went inside the house. How the house did not implode is beyond me. The heat in that house was so hot you could barely breathe. The bill on the floor showed the bill was over $6,000 it owed in National Grid. Thank the Lord that the bill was in the tenant's name and not in the landlord's name. That's a killer. That's a killer to your bank account to have to pay that. A lot of times when the tenant is in that position when the National Grid is in your name, whether you want it to be or not, they will walk around in the middle of winter dressed as if it was summertime. There were many times that I've said this to clients of ours over the close to 30 years we've been in business. I've told them that the apartments, the temperature inside the apartment is so high that if the apartment was that hot in the middle of summer, they'd turn on the air conditioner. We've had a case where a tenant one time, and I actually had a case many years ago, when he came down the stairs, it was not winter, but it was very cold out, but not winter. He had complained about no heat in the apartment. I had said to him, I said, I don't know how you can complain about that. You're standing here in nothing but your boxers. How cold can it be in that apartment? We had another one, who in the summertime she had complained, the eviction was going on in the wintertime, she had complained in the summertime she didn't have a refrigerator, it broke. We find out that she was making homemade popsicles and selling them to all the neighborhood. You're taxing a refrigerator that's not meant for that. She had complained that winter that she had no heat in the house, and the heat was very bad, it was low. It's cold in here. But the process server had observed and told her, how can it be so cold when you have numerous fans that we can see right now blowing in this apartment, in this house? How cold can it actually be when you have fans going and you're walking around in t-shirts? Again, do not keep the utilities on in your own name for whatever time frame. I don't care. Don't do it. Number 12, make sure the rental application is filled out completely, all sides. Even if it doesn't apply NA, not applicable, how will put that down? The more they fill out, and if they're being deceitful, you can review that application, and if you find anything wrong in there, you may not like the tenant, but you need to have a reason. In some states, you have to have a reason to decline. You have on that lease, on that rental application, that any information has been investigated and it's found that you have lied or withheld information, it nullifies this application and it nullifies your ability to be a tenant of ours in this apartment or house or whatever it might be. The more they fill out and leave NA, and the more you find out that they've lied or withheld information, the easier it is to reject that application, and you're not looking at a lawsuit of discrimination, which we hope none of you are doing that, but some tenants will claim you're not renting to me for whatever reason, when in fact you're not renting to them because they lied on the application. The bonus. Here's the bonus. And we hope that before we tell you this bonus, that we hope that you subscribe to our channel, and that you leave comments below, hit the like button, hit the notification bell so that when new videos are coming out, you will be able to watch them, review them, share them with friends, family, fellow colleagues, fellow landlords. We have a lot of videos up, and we have a lot more to produce and share with you so that you can learn how to be a better landlord. The last hint. Remember, the more questions asked, the more answers provided and verified by you, the better chance you have of getting a good tenant. Landlords, these are the 12 tips. There will be more, but these are 12 tips to get you started. Learn these right now, because as we know, in the time that we're facing right now in America, there's going to be a lot of empty apartments, and there's going to be a lot of tenants looking for apartments. Don't be greedy. The biggest thing I can leave with you right now on all of this, when you rent, you're not renting to money, you're renting to people. You're renting to people, you're not renting to money. Do not allow money to be the only thing that you see when they put it in front of your face as the determining factor to rent to that tenant. Remember, the last thing I'm going to leave you with, you're renting to people, you're not renting to money. Landlords, be safe, take care. Remember, we're here with you, we're here for you. Best wishes.